Bruce Walker, you're next. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Well, apparently Robert misled me about what the shootout was all about. The good news is at 1 o'clock I had Chaps, Spurs, and Smith & Wessons on. At least it wasn't in the shootout. Exactly. I want to thank everybody for coming today. I want to thank Robert. I want to thank the calibrators for their in this work. I want to thank all the online forums out there. Note to cyberspace, a camera puts about 10 pounds on. So they're like 3 cameras in the room. So I spend an inordinate amount of time checking the forums, and I spent a lot of time at AVS forum with that particular thread that started out as, you know, where's this going to be July 1st, and it turned into an owner's thread. And after studying that, and then last night spending a lot of time on some of the other forums, found out what people were looking for to find out about TVs. So I wanted to cover 3 things on my set: picture quality, and picture quality.
Was the next one?
I'll do them in that order. I want to talk about what Toshiba brings to market. Going to focus on a couple of our key technologies. Obviously, with the LED backlit set, we're coming to the forefront of LCD technology. With LED backlighting, we have the ability to locally dim the television set, though, so that you know, traditionally with an LCD television set back here, there's a big cluster of fluorescent light bulbs, and you can imagine the challenge reproducing your blackest blacks when the source of your picture is a big old bright bulb. Dynamic backlight can help with that, but with LED backlighting, you can do even better than that. And there are 2 ways to do LED backlighting. You can take out the fluorescent bulbs, put a row of LEDs on the top, row of LEDs on the bottom. They weren't here. Who here took the Samsung TV apart on AVS Forum? I know it was one of you guys. You did it. Posted pictures on the brand new TV all ripped apart. It was amazing. Edge lighting allows you to have a very, very sexy form factor on a TV, but doesn't really bring much to the party in terms of picture performance. With full matrix LED backlighting, what we do, we take the bulbs out, we do a full grid of LEDs, and let me say to everybody here, if they didn't hear about last night, I don't know how many zones, I don't know how many LEDs, but I can tell you that our 55-inch has proportionally more LEDs and zones than the 46-inch, so they don't just space them all out. So you can post bad things that I didn't know that. But with a full matrix LED and local dimming, it's the only way an LCD television can have the blackest blacks and whitest whites on screen at the same time, really improving our picture performance on there. Second thing I want to talk about in terms of picture performance is our ClearScan 240. And the story behind that is better processing, better fast action handling. Starts out with 60, goes to 120, and now we're at 240. And as a group of enthusiasts, do you notice a difference in motion blur between 60 hertz and 120 hertz?
Yeah. A little bit.
I wasn't asking you.
No.
Do you see a difference between 120 and 240?
No, not so much.
Not so much.
No.
Much, much more subtle. What I would tell you to do, when we did a side-by-side comparison at CS, we had 60, 120, and 240, and everybody went, oh, 60 to 120, night and day. 120 to 240, it was subtle, and what I found was there was more texture. Like we had a scrolling screen of shingles up there, and you could see more grit and texture in the shingles. 120 does a great job of eliminating all the motion blur, and what we do is we take 60 frames per second, we do something called motion vector frame interpolation, we create new frames so you have 120 frames on screen. Now to get to 240, there are 2 different ways, just like everything in our industry, there are 2 ways you can do it. You can take your 120 hertz, do motion vector frame interpolation again, have 240 hertz, 240 frames on screen. Samsung does that, Sony does that. The challenge with that is twofold. First of all, to go from a 120 hertz TV to a 240 hertz TV, it's like a mortgage payment. Okay. Okay. Secondly, a true 240 hertz TV, you've got 240 frames on screen in any given second. Of those 240 frames, 180 of them are made up by the TV. So lots of potential for errors and artifacts in the image. What we do, we get the same benefit to the customer, and we do it cheaper and we do a little bit better. And what we do, to dumb it down in my brain, how we do is we have our 120 frames on screen in any given second. But even at 120 frames, because LCD is a hold and display type technology, if there's a lot of movement in the picture, your brain, not the TV, your brain puts blur in there. That's called persistence of vision. Everybody has that. So what we do essentially is in between each frame, we blink the backlight off and on infinitesimally. It interrupts your persistence of vision, okay? Brings more detail out in the picture. Some people say, well, you're blinking it off and on, doesn't that mess with it? 240, it's on now. You don't see it, obviously. You just see more detail in the image. And to try to think of an analogy, I thought, what would drive that point home? I came up with a spinning ceiling fan. If you ever look at a spinning ceiling fan and just look at it, it's a blur of blades. But if you look at that same ceiling fan and you blink real fast, you can see how many blades the fan has. So in the same way that you blinking brings out more detail in the ceiling fan, so too does the backlight scanning or blinking bring out more detail in the image. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Jump in if you want to say something.